Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm doing good. We were just talking about getting ready for Christmas. I feel like I'm about halfway there-ish.
I think I waited longer this year than I've ever waited. I am one of those people, which I no longer have a gift room. So sad.
Oh,
It is
that's
now
right.
a new exercise room since I've moved back into my house, which, by the way, remind me someday to talk to you about my cold plunge. Oh my gosh, it's so cold.
I know. I've really been wanting you to send me a picture of that.
Oh, I'm gonna send you the video. It's hilarious.
Oh,
Chris
yeah. Okay.
videoed me getting in for the first time. I'm gonna do a video from the first day of getting in the cold plunge to the 30th day. Hopefully I get better.
I really want to hear about that. And I might need to pick your brain actually, because Adam and I are just getting ready. We just met with an architect to redo our backyard in Charleston, and we're going to do a hot cold plunge. So we can turn it into a hot tub or it can be a cold plunge.
Oh, and that's what this one does that I have. You can turn the temperature up to a hot plunge, or you can turn it down to a cold
Okay,
plunge.
then so I already have so I'm gonna have to pick your brain about that later.
Yeah. So, but the moral of that story, the reason we started was I used to have a gift room in my house because I love to give presents. Yep. I don't know what it means about your love language when you want to give gifts, but you and I both love to give gifts.
Yep.
And so, so that's got redone in the the freeze-ageddon that we had in Texas once we had to redo our house. And so now I have two exercise rooms instead of a gift room. But normally, because of that gift room, I would always have a place, and I'd start like in July or sooner. And every time I see somebody or think of something, I'd buy them that gift to see a gift that reminds them, and I'd throw it in there. And then the lady would come wrap at the end of the year. So I've been a little discombobulated. Well, one, I've wanted to move more to experiences anyway, except for the little kids, because I feel like you remember experiences more than you remember presents. So for the last few years, I've done that. But, COVID messed that up. We canceled 3 cruises just this year, not this year that we were going, but for this year and next year. So I had to revamp. What are we doing after Christmas? I had to revamp. Okay, now what do I do do I go back to presents? What do I do? So it's kind of messed me up a little bit, but so really just the little kids, I think, are the main things I need to finish up. But it causes anxiety when you're 2 weeks out and you don't feel like you're. I don't know if I got a good plan yet, much less.
I know. I'm the same way. My mom and I jumped in the car yesterday and went up to Cincinnati and shopped for like 6 hours because I felt like I was totally not even ready for Christmas whatsoever. So I got a lot knocked out yesterday. But yeah, it's and every year which is fine, but it seems like there's more and more people to add to the list.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody, yeah.
Heather, we were driving back the other day. We were driving back from the office, and Heather said, I have 36 people that I still have to buy for this year. She was like, I feel like that's a lot. I'm like, that is a lot.
Yeah, that's when you move your family to White Elephant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what our Christmas usually look like. And honestly, it got to a point where it's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
Because you felt like do I even know that? What is that who is that person? What do I
know?
And my philosophy is if you don't know them well enough to know what they might like, you probably shouldn't be buying them a present.
Yep.
You should either make a donation in their name or do White Elephant or something like that.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, so I think today we're going to talk about new tactics for getting new listings, right? That was the number 2 thing that Gary Keller said most top agents are wondering for 2022.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year for figuring out listings. And, I'm just rolling out a listing class at the first of the year that we actually wrote, the last few months. And the reason we created the course is because I looked up and realized there were so many agents in our business that had never learned, how important it is to be a listing agent and to put your sole focus on being a listing agent and how to have a great presentation. And they certainly don't know the scripts and dialogues to get any price reductions. And so my philosophy is you are always preparing for the market you're going into, not the one you're in now. You should already have been prepared for the one you're in now.
Yep.
And so eventually we will be switching, and you will have to talk to those sellers more than 48 hours before their house goes into contract. And you and I both remember those days. And so one of the things I think mainly to remember is, yes, next year your focus should be listings.
Yeah.
And I believe the more people you can move your conversation to real estate, the more odds and chances, because it's a numbers game. It's something that is, the more you do, the more numbers you do, the more results you're going to get. End of story. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like that when it's a science or an art. It's not some kind of luck or whatever. If I can know what the activities are and do enough of those, I'll get the results that I'm actually after.
Yep, totally agree. I agree with all that. And I do think that I do think that one of the reasons why people are asking for new tactics is because they're either over the other ones, or it could be because the industry is changing. So we need new tactics. It's not just because people are bored necessarily with the old tactics, because all calling FSBOs and expireds and door knocking and all direct mail and all those things are always still going to work. But I think people are just looking for newer ways. And actually, one of the things I wrote down, and this is just such a great example, is those reverse bold 100s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, how can we think of things like that to come up with new tactics to be able to get more listings? And I think those are one of the best things ever. And people can go back. We don't have to get deep into that because we did a great podcast with Ryan Rydell and Trent. And I think that so go back and listen to that one. Gosh, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 episodes ago. I don't remember which one it was, but that's a great example of a new tactic that if you're looking for something different, or you want to try something that's maybe not one of the old tried and trues, that actually people are getting a lot of results from, and having people call you, and giving referrals and all those things. And I know Ryan and Trent, I don't remember exactly, but do you remember what it was? 17 listings in like a week period or so. I mean, it was crazy. It was
crazy results. Yeah. And I think, which we have in our whole regional team read, what's your yellow tux? Is that what's called? I can't remember.
Yeah. Find your yellow tux.
Find your yellow tux.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And here's the deal, but I think we all have to be careful, because we get bored with the basics that work.
Yep.
And I know I used to do this all the time. And I think I like the idea of something new more for me than I do for the fact that, just the fact that I get bored with the same old thing. So I think you can't let up on the same old tried and trues.
Totally.
But if you want to spice it up and have excitement, in our listing course, one of the things we interviewed Danny, who does a great job with client events. We interviewed several agents that do some amazing stuff online and social media and stuff like that. So I think you can add something like that if it feels like it's authentic and natural to you for next year. But I think you have to be careful to not move away from the tried and trues that will always work. But I do think that you're seeing a movement for listings more to your database and working exclusively and making your people feel part of a community. I listened to a podcast the other day on, what was it even on? I don't remember which podcast it was on, but she is the ex-CEO of Hooters, and she started like at 20 something at Hooters.
Wow.
And she just moved up the ranks really fast, and they grew really fast. And she, didn't wind up waitressing very long. She was really smart, and she wound up like running the company. And now she runs, a organization that owns many companies like McAllister's, not Jamba Juice, but the other juice place.
Wow.
She's real sharp. And, one of the things that she said she sees coming in the future is you will need to create more communities. You will have to figure out, contest games, fun activities, whatever that really creates more of a community and holds that community together. Kind of like, it's kind of like small groups at churches, really. We've said that before.
Well, remember, I just went back in my notes to find this. And when Gary opened our mastermind last week, he said, you all need to understand that the industry is getting repartnered and retribed. And what people want is to feel like they're a part of a tribe or a community or a small group. So everybody is saying that. And I think that we're feeling that. And I mean, we're even feeling that from the top agents in our office when we're talking to them and asking them, what they're looking for. And they want to be a part of groups. They want to be a part of communities and tribes. And so I think that as entrepreneurs and business owners and realtors, we have to think that for our clients. And so it's definitely sticking to the tried and true. And, one of the other things I wrote down that I've seen work so much, and this goes hand in hand with this, is people are getting listings now by attaching their business to a charity or to a local give back, or something like that. they're still using their tried and true ways to get the listings, but people are wanting to be a part of that small group or community or tribe of, hey, when we do this, we know that we're making a difference.
Yeah.
And
I think because COVID kind of blew up the big groups.
Yep.
I think people are wanting community and they feel more
Yep.
comfortable doing it in smaller tribes and groups than they do large mass rooms and things like that. I know for myself, I don't always run scared of COVID, but I do kind of think, ooh, do I want to go be in that big room with all those people, or would I rather have, connection with small groups of people?
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to push all that much more direction.
Yep.
I think the other thing too, because it is a numbers game, I think we have to learn how to really stay connected with the fact that we're not good enough to make a buyer buy, seller sell, or an agent join us, and work on our mindset of not feeling like we're doing something to someone when we learn to ask for business.
Yeah.
But we're doing things for people, because we can't make a person do something that they're not already intending on doing. And there's a great book, and I pulled it out because I'm fixing to, because I'm from Texas. You get that being from Kentucky, but I'm about to teach a class for South Africa on lead generation. And so I pulled out a couple of books that were always really beneficial to me. And one of them is called Go for No.
Oh yeah.
And it talks about where you change your mind shift and you go for no rather than yeses, because after so many no's, there's always some yeses.
Yep.
And then, I always tell people, if you can meet enough people in the daily activities that you normally do, just a compliment of, you might be good in my business is going to cause people to have to ask you what you do.
Yep.
And I think if you keep this top of mind, I think you're going to have a whole lot more opportunities than you think you will. But I think you have to consciously go, look, it's harder to find. So if it's harder to find, I've got to put more time and energy in and purpose in making sure I get the conversations to go towards real estate, or I get good at asking people, what are your plans? And there's so many different ways that you can ask people, what are your plans in 2022 for real estate? I'm just, I'm trying to get my plan together, my team together. And we're just curious, what are your plans? What do you think your real estate needs are going to be in 2022? Those kind of conversational pieces, I guarantee will land you somewhere.
Yeah. I just thought of something that actually press reminded us of, which is so timely right now. And it was one of my favorite books, probably 6 or 7 years ago, from Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And so what the sheet that press gave us for our offices was around the give, ask. And I do think that we need to be getting back into the mindset of almost using that even more when it comes to listings, because people are definitely thinking more now than ever about who they're doing business with. And I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, I'm not going to do Christmas cards this year. And I said, I'm really trying not to judge you right now, because I can remember a time where I did probably 10 years ago, I don't even know, 15 to 20 big loans with one bank. And we didn't get a Christmas card from them that year. And I'll never forget that ever. I mean, I was getting Christmas cards, from banks that I didn't even bank with and our own. And so that I was thinking, and so when that agent said that to me, I said, people are thinking harder now about who they're doing business with. They want to feel good. And so I almost think too, when we're doing those things, we almost need to go back to that mindset of give, ask. So like when you said people are sometimes unsure of how to ask for the business, or they, the way to ask it, or even when to ask, or if to ask. If you struggle with that, because I just talked to an agent about this and they were like, man, that helps so much. Maybe go back to the mindset of give, ask. Like we need to be giving value to our people so that then we're ready to ask them what their plans are for real estate in 2022. And we don't feel like we're, trying to sell them something or be salesy about it. But I loved that he reminded us of that, because I do feel like people are thinking now more than ever just about why they're doing business with who they're doing business with, and, what's in it for them and all of those things, rather than just picking up the phone and calling them because they've called them forever.
Well, first thing I want to know is, Dana, how in the world, in all the Christmas cards you probably get, did you realize the bank didn't send you one? I'm enamored that you could even remember that. So I gotta pay more attention.
Why it stuck out to me. I think it was because the closing attorney sent us like a nice gift card and a ham, the stuff. And then I think it was after Christmas, And I said, did we get a Christmas card from them? And he's like, nope, I don't think so. I don't know. But it just, stuff
Yeah.
like that sticks with you. It really, you remember that.
Yes, for sure. And, I think, it reminded me too, we have a podcast. It's been way back. I don't remember Sid Walker.
Oh,
He had
I
a
was
great
just
book out.
thinking that too. Yeah.
He had a book called How to Overcome Call Reluctance, Self-Promotion, and blah, 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 something like that.
Yeah.
We'll put an attachment in the show notes,
Yeah.
but you can also go back and find his podcast. That was a really good interview with him. But I think I'm going to just tell you, watching what's happened over the last couple of years, as you see top agents join teams, not give up, but take their very successful businesses and roll them into big expansion teams.
Yeah.
And the first thing that expansion team does is go back and work their database, and they double their business.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I just want to think, oh Lord, all we have to do, if we just did one thing next year, worked our databases better.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you, one of our big things for my offices next year is we're figuring out a way to do we're right now building a database management system, because Gary, I highlighted it like 100 times. Gary said, if you're an agent and you're looking for opportunity, your greatest opportunity is to go double your business next year.
Yep. Yeah.
And so a lot of agents are not doing what they need to be doing with their database. I mean, that's exactly what you just said. And therefore, some of them are joining big teams because of that. And look at the business that is coming from it, because they have systems and they're running their databases.
Yeah. We have to change the way realtors think about their database. One, how important it is.
Yep.
Number two, that it's an asset. Another good example is we have a couple of agents that are looking to retire in the next year or so. And one of the conversations we had with them is, can we find someone that could step, that's younger, but you feel good about, that we could put into your business so that you guys keep that money coming? And they just absolutely don't want to do it.
Yeah.
First thing they said was, we don't think our customers would accept anybody else. And I'm like, they're going to accept somebody else, because the minute you don't do business with them anymore, they're going to go find somebody else.
Totally.
So I'm just shocked, but I remember years ago, Dana, when no one thought the way they think about assistants and leverage and teams.
Yep.
So I can see a great need for us to change the way we think about what we've created in 20 and 30 years. Is asset-based, and database is what makes it an asset. So I love that. And we're looking at the same things in some of our offices of how do we step into those gaps that our agents don't want to fill, or don't, for whatever reason.
Yep.
And we can step into that gap and help them do that, because there's just you want to double your business, it's in your database.
Yeah, totally.
Most people can take their database and go double their business next year just by working it more effectively and more efficiently.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
So what else? Let me think about listings. If you were coaching somebody right now on next year and they said, hey, Dana, my big issue is I need to get more listings next year, what would be your number one advice that you would give them?
Exactly what you just said. Go deep into your database. I would say build a 135 around how you are going to, how many listings do you need to take, or do you want to take next year? And then just build a plan out, build a 135 around it, and come up with the things, the priorities and the strategies that you can do to go get the listings. Because I think a lot of people say that, but they just don't have the plan behind it.
Yeah. I think a couple of things that, having just taught business planning, is top of my mind. Number one, you got to ask yourself these questions. Number one, where did my listings come from last year?
Yep.
Make a list right now. Where did they come from? Because you don't want to forget about a good source that was there last year. Number two, how many listings do I want to take this year? And then you also have to be realistic about what is when you go on the appointment, what is your closing ratio of those people? And then what is your closing ratio of those listings? I'm going to venture to bet you're pretty close to 100% last year on if you could get the listing, it would sell.
Totally.
Right?
Last year will, be different.
Yeah. But the thing is, you maybe didn't get the at-bats. It took more at-bats or more appointments to get that number, just because it was super competitive.
Yep.
So know those numbers, and you can get those numbers based off your business last year. And I always like to say, if you don't know them, guess or use the Millionaire Real Estate Agent numbers until you can learn what your own numbers are. And then, really just build, like you said, a 135 around what are my strategies to go get listings, and ask yourself, what would I enjoy? What would I have fun doing on trying to get listings? What would be some fun projects for me or me and my team to actually put in place to get business from? And then how do I make sure I track that so that I know what's most effective and what's working? And then just do more and more of that.
Yep, I think you're spot on. And I'm glad that you added that last thing, because it reminded me of a conversation I had last week with an agent, and she was leaving a team and was going to go join another bigger team. And her profile is a strong individual agent. And so we did a call and I said, so tell me what it is about the team that you feel like you need to be on a team. And she said, I don't know. I'm afraid that if I don't have leads, given to me, I won't be able to do it. And so we talked about her database, we talked about her sphere and all those things. And then at the end, she said, I don't know, I'm not a great cold caller, or I'm not a great, door knocker, or whatever it was. And I said, you got to figure out what's going to cause you to have fun to go get listings, because that's when what are the things that you are going to enjoy doing to go get them? Because a lot of times I think people hear lead generating and they think it's cold calling all day. And there's 30 different ways you can lead generate. Calling might be the fastest, but there's so many other ones, so I'm like, what are you going to have fun to do to go actually out and get the listings? And she's like, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah. And that's one of the things when I'm planning on recording this class for South Africa is, I think people compare somebody's outside to their inside. And I always tell the story about, I absolutely hated prospecting. I put my whole team through it. They hated it. So we had to find different ways to do it. And then I always think about the story of Tim Heil, who was in Bold and would be so freaked out about calling anybody, he'd go sit in his car and call his mom.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that ought to make you feel a whole lot better, because look how successful Tim Heil is now.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think you're right. I think they need to understand that there's lots of different ways to do it.
Yep.
And don't get fixated on the one or two that you just absolutely hate to do. And here's the thing. Remember, the one thing you absolutely hate to do, somebody else loves to do it.
Yep.
We've got an agent in our one of our Dayton offices. He said, if I could just sit and cold call all day, that'd be my ideal job. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who says that? I love you. So
we need to have it. We do need to have Ben on the podcast, because he is like a unicorn. So we need to get him. That just reminded me that we need to get him on.
Yes, absolutely. So just always remember, the thing that you're not good at or the thing you hate, somebody else loves and it would fill them up to be their full day.
Yep. Totally
Awesome.
agree.
All right. So 2022 is the year of figuring out how to go get more listings and really focusing on mastering listings and listing presentations and conversations around listings. Any final thoughts you want to add, Dana, on that?
No, I think just the only thing that I would say is exactly like, go back and answer those 4 questions that you just said and guess on them if you don't know them, and get as close as you possibly can. Because I think that's where you have to start, is knowing how many you need next year and where your main ones are coming from. And then you just got to go build a plan around it.
Yeah. And I would say the only thing I would add to what we've already said is there's some people in your database that have probably given you more referrals. They know you, love you, and tell everybody in the world about you.
Yep.
See if you can go identify this year who those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. You don't need very many of them, but you'll have a few of them in your database. And make sure you do something special. Pull them out of your thing and make them like your elite or your VIPs, and figure out what would you do for your VIPs that are really giving you a lot more business than anybody else in your database.
Yep, totally agree.
Awesome. All right. Well, Dana, thank you. Great conversation today, as usual. And remember, if you have not, be sure and hit subscribe below. We'd love to have a 5-star review from you, because when you give us a review, especially a great one, we actually get noticed by other people who could find benefit in our conversations.
Yes.
And if you know of a guest, or if you have an opportunity or a challenge or a question that you'd like for Dana and I to answer on the podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.